Welcome to Something Crunchy. Tyler is homies with Blake. Blake is the older bro of Blair. Blair is married to Tyler and is a slutty slut.
Welcome to Something Crunchy.
What the hell is crunchy?
Welcome to Something Crunchy. Welcome to another special edition episode of Something Crunchy. I'm Cullen Blake. With me as always, Blair and Tyler Jessel. We have on with us a very crunchy guest. You've seen her in shows like Orange is the New Black, Insecure, Homeland, and Stranger Things. Please welcome Catherine Curtin.
Okay, that was awesome. That was just that was like the emoji thing when you send somebody an emoji and the congratulations goes off and it's like, wow.
Balloons and confetti. Yeah.
Yeah, the confetti. Yes, that was awesome.
It's a
I
bunch
loved
of feel
it.
good.
How we do it.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us, Mrs. Catherine. How are you?
I'm really good. You know, I'm in New York City where it's cold and crisp and brisk, and I live near the river, and I just took a walk on the Hudson, and the water level is super high, which I always found. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And is the water encroaching upon New York City? But anyway, and you know, it's good. Everything is good. Yeah.
Well, that's
it's fantastic.
nice.
Sounds so nice.
Do you have any fun
Yeah.
and exciting Thanksgiving plans this week?
No, you know, I'm going to. I'm having I'm going to do Thanksgiving on Friday because of different family stuff. And I know that just don't tell anybody who thinks it has to be on Thursday, because that blows my mind that we have to do things when everybody says we have to do them. And
No
I've
kidding.
never been good at that,
I
you know.
so get it though.
Right. And so I'm going to do it on Friday. And I'm thinking to myself, OMG, like I'm probably going to be able to get a turkey on Friday that is going to be much less expensive than the turkey on Wednesday.
True.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, that could be good. I don't even know, but maybe
Positive.
not, or maybe there'll be no turkeys left. Biden will have pardoned the 2 turkeys that we had left, and there will be no turkeys left, and there'll be no turkey at all for my family. But
It's very
anyway,
possible. Well,
it's very possible.
Well, we are big fans. We absolutely love your work, and you have contributed to some of the best shows in modern day storytelling. We are in the platinum age of entertainment, and you're everywhere. Netflix, HBO, Showtime, feature films, indie pictures. Catherine is hot right now.
She is. Agreed.
Well, I think what for me, you know, I'm an indie film like maven. You know, that's my junk. You know, like I love indie films. I love doing indie films.
Mm-hmm.
I love being a part of indie films. The TV is awesome. I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed. I'm so fascinated and challenged by it. Film is like, you know, the heavens have opened up, you know, when you get to do a wonderful film. But I think my true love, my true passion, the place that I love to work more than any other is the indie film set, because it's like the off-Broadway show. You know, it's like, it's like a smaller set, and it becomes a family.
Tighter
Yeah.
community,
And a total community, and you make something that is sometimes under the most ridiculous conditions. So that means the magical gods of filmmaking have to come and help you. And then, you know, you are part of the process in a way that you're not as much. It really is a craft. And sometimes in big money film and TV gigs, you know, you're just there to show up and do your little piece of the world.
Sure.
And then you go home. Then, you know, you have your trailer and you go home. And, you know, with indie films, it's like we were shooting out of Montauk, and it was a small skeletal crew, and we were on the beach and on the point. I don't know if there's a point at Montauk, and it's beautiful, but you cannot be there. Yeah. But you cannot be there when the tide comes in. And, you know, I was there with a group of, you know, filmmakers, and nobody's paying attention to when the tide goes in and the tide goes out. Like, that's not what we're doing art. We are not paying attention to the tides. And like all of a sudden the waves start coming in, and everybody's like, grab the equipment.
Oh,
and
my
literally,
God.
yeah, like literally everyone just like went for something and then went tearing up the beach to the parking lot, because the tide was really in now. And somehow we didn't realize that. But, you know, it was, I think that, I don't know. I feel like indie film, the spirit of life really is present in indie film.
Yeah.
And so I guess that is what I, as a New Yorker, I love, on some level, I love chaos. On some level, I love that, oh my gosh, this just happened. Like something, like you didn't know this was going to happen, but this just happened.
This is what we're doing now.
This is what we're doing now. And that is a lot of what it means to work on an indie film set. And, you know, I got to this other set and it was a beautiful church in Brooklyn and gorgeous, like 200 years old. And they had only planned on shooting in the church proper and in the back offices. And so they only had that many lights, and the church had a lot of stained glass, so they didn't need, you know, the heavy duty lights. But when we got there, the foyer, the anteroom to the church was like provocative. It was ghost-like.
Oh.
It was like, it was so unbelievable. It was like we stood there and we thought there was just something in that foyer, that anteroom it was like chilling. And we thought, you could feel it. Thank you. And we were like, we have to shoot, and we had to shoot in this. We had to shoot here. We had to shoot there. And we weren't prepared for that. And then all of a sudden, this huge, half a block long, practically white reflective truck pulls up in front of the church. And we all look at it and we're like, we ran up to the driver and we said, "Hi, can you come in and have some lunch? And would you just take your 15, maybe a little bit longer break and let us use your white truck as a bounce board to reflect light into this anteroom?"
Our lighting is fabulous with this truck right now.
Yeah, with this truck right now, our lighting is unbelievable. And they were like, "Sure, yeah." The driver was like, "Definitely." And we fed him beautifully, and he sat and he watched us shoot this, and then he went on to deliver his day. I was like, okay, what feature film that's made for $100 million does that happen?
I was going to say only on an indie film, and you shine so well in these projects. Are there any favorites?
I don't know. You know, I had a couple of films at Woodstock this year that I really loved. One of them, 18 and a half. It was on the 18 and a half minutes that were lost in the Nixon tapes. And that no one, yes, thank you, right? And no one still knows what's on those 18 and a half minutes. Like nobody knows. And it's this sort of like romantic, frolicky adventure horror farce on those 18 and a half minutes. And and I'm like, I have to do this. This is amazing.
Yeah.
No, that sounds right up your alley too.
Yeah, it was so fun. And I love that. And then I have Werewolves Within that I truly loved shooting. Josh Rubin's horror comedy that came out in June, I guess, or July. And that was amazing. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, I sort of love whatever it is that I'm doing. I'm very romantic in the, like, I'm here right now. I'm in love with what I'm doing right now.
That's so good.
I love that.
It's helpful. And I went to a screening of Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie, Licorice Pizza. So I'm a SAG voter, so I got to go to a screening, and he spoke afterwards. He was fascinating. And he said, you know, one of the, like, my movies don't appeal to everyone. My movies, it's a very small rainbow of people, you know, that want to partake in my films as audience. And he said, but I lean into what I do. He said, I'm not Steven Spielberg. I'm not the biggest filmmaker in the world. I am not a huge commercial property, but I lean into who and what I am. And, you know, I'm paraphrasing his words there, but I came away and I was so grateful to have witnessed his words, to bear witness to those words as an artist.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
and
special.
to just, to say lean into who you are, lean into what you do. It doesn't matter that what you do, somebody else does 5 other things and you just do this one thing. You need to lean into who and what you are.
I completely agree. That's such a strong perspective. And I mean, Steven Spielberg didn't become Spielberg by leaning into someone else. He leaned into himself. Right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think one of the difficulties today for people is like, It's like, am I supposed to be these 5 people on my social network, or am I supposed to be these people that are doing this thing over here? It's very hard to say my identity is the identity that I want to, that I'm going to get behind. You know, I think that's one of the great factors of, like, you know, when you come to a conversation with yourself, then I think the world becomes a quieter, more peaceful place in which to take one's path and be a part of the journey and not the destination, you know?
And I bet that's even more challenging, you know, for artists, especially, you know, someone with a resume like yours. Well, especially like when we're talking about these indie films, I don't know if they could be considered indie films. I'm thinking of ones like Beauty Mark and
I love Beauty Mark.
Blush.
Yes. Do you know Harris Doran, who made Beauty Mark? I just made a short with him this summer.
Really?
With Doris Cassup. Yeah, she produced it. And it's going to Sundance.
Wow.
Yes.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Well, that's
Very
excellent.
cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah, and it's called Fuck 'em Right Back.
Love this already.
I'm buying
Love
tickets.
it already. Buying tickets, right? How
It's
could
right
you
up our
not?
alley already.
Right up my alley. And he told me the title, and he was like, "You want to come do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm coming to do that." You're like, did you think I wasn't coming to do that? Because you know I'm coming to do that. But you know, it took place in we shot down in near Johns Hopkins in Maryland, and yeah, it was really interesting. And we shot in this like industrial sort of old 1970s industrial complex, and there were no windows in this building that had, I don't know, 30 or 40 offices in it. And I spoke to the people that actually worked there, and they were like, why would you build a building where we are in it all day long and there are no windows? None of us, no windows. And they were like, none of us have windows. There's no windows in this building. And so it was sort of this very heartbreaking moment to hear that. And this short film was about the people who worked there in this fictional story, but they were working in this building, just totally railing against, you know, the man who was, you know, who was basically setting up a work condition that was completely inappropriate for people. I mean, it is very interesting. And I, you know, like IATSE had that, they were almost striking a few weeks ago. And I'm certainly glad, I'm grateful they didn't strike, because I have a family, I need to work. But I also feel like across the board, I'm so glad that, you know, fuck them right back, you know, that we are, you know, that we're like coming to a place where workers have more rights, you know, where like the John Deere negotiations that just went down, I believe, you know, like a day or two ago, they got a 10% raise. They got, I mean, it just things that needed to happen,
right?
You know, and
about
so,
time.
Yeah, really about time. So, and I think that's what I love too about indie film and the indie film conversation is it's more like the NPR conversation or the Something Crunchy conversation. It's
right.
it's like a conversation about what's really happening now, you know, like getting behind what is currently going on. I'm not making a TV show where it's a few laughs while you have your beer and fall asleep in your chair. This is, you know, this is like on the edge of your seat. What are we thinking about? What are we talking about? What should we be talking about? Where is the world right now? Have you seen that show on TV, Dope Sick?
It's
on
it.
Hulu.
And we've been talking about it.
Just finished it.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So the Sacklers, there were no criminal charges.
I can't
They
believe
were
that.
basically drug pushers.
Yeah.
They were drug pushers.
Yeah, corporate drug lords.
Corporate drug lords. And how many guys and gals are sitting in prison? How many families were broken up from some low-level dealer dealing pot out of his house in the 80s or 90s or the aughts, and he's still in prison or she's still in prison while the Sacklers are in Switzerland with none of their money gone.
Well,
Crazy.
they had to pay a fine, which was the equivalent to a drop in the bucket for them, which guaranteed that no one in that family can ever be sued over this product. And it's sickening. It is.
It's sickening. It's sickening.
I'm glad that a show like this did kind of shine a spotlight on it.
Yeah.
And kind of tell that story. And they were not painted in a very good picture. And I think they were still conservative with how they portrayed the Sacklers.
I agree. I completely agree with you. And I think it's criminal that the DOJ at that time did not stand their ground. I guess because of political pressure, they didn't feel they could win at all. So this was better than losing totally. Yeah. But I'm just stunned. And I'm stunned, like you ask why so many people don't want to be inoculated right now. Many people don't trust the vaccine. Who are these people that don't trust it? A lot of the same communities that don't trust the vaccine were the ones that were hit the hardest by the opioid crisis and lost the most people. Yeah, right?
That's true.
And so, of course, they don't trust the FDA. They lost aunts and daughters and uncles and fathers and mothers and sisters and brothers. And then the FDA lied to them, and knew they were lying. And you're telling me that the FDA didn't understand that opioids were not addictive and that they didn't do the real research themselves, that they just accepted the research of the expensive, big pharma company? No, the FDA, there were people in the FDA who must have known.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what the lobbyists are for, to pay those people off to not speak up.
Yes.
Yeah. And I thought the most interesting part of the story was the fact that the guy who approved the label that had never been a label before on a drug was then later working for Purdue. And it makes you question how often that happens. And they even alluded to the fact that the FDA is basically just a parking station where you find your next job based on the favors that you do for big corporations like this.
There is no conflict of interest in drugs, really.
Yeah.
Yes.
Money
but
talks.
that should not be allowed. You should not be allowed to work for a government agency and then go work for, the people that you were supposed to be regulating. You shouldn't be able to come from, a job where you were regulating against those people and then go into. And I mean, I think that was a lot of, that kind of conflict of interest. We should be legislating against that.
It's true. Absolutely, we should. That should never be allowed to happen. Well, speaking of government agency, I watched all of Homeland just a couple months ago with my grandfather.
So good.
What a show that was. We get recommended.
Did your grandfather love it?
Oh
Did your
my
grandfather
God.
love it?
He is sick that it's over and that I can't find anything as good to replace it with. We watched every episode. We get recommended this one all the time. One of Tyler's best friends is a director, and he's quoted to say it's the best show ever made for how it was shot and how good the performances are. For me, it definitely was the cast. I mean, I could watch Mandy Patinkin cut grass for an hour and be satisfied. And then,
me too.
And Claire was next level. And then you have these supporting characters that are so strong. You included. Tell us a little bit about working on this project and coming in at season 7.
First of all, I think those people were so much smarter than I was. Like, what am I saying? Like, I would read it. I would read the script, and then I'd be like, wait, what are we talking about here? And then it would occur to me like what we're talking about, and I'd just be like, wow. They when I think like the first week I got there, they were so very kind and gentle and generous. And they told me that they all were very diligent about the amount of research they did, about the amount of work they did in DC, interviewing people, finding out what the government, what was going on, really understanding that didn't come out of somebody just making it all up.
Did the research.
They did their homework.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They talked to people. And I think that the whole the season that I was on was when they were really talking about the bots. And we didn't which is so commonplace today. Yeah,
it's
there's
topical,
all these bots.
Yes, it's crazy. It was weird watching it, knowing it was filmed a couple of years ago, but it was so pertinent to today and new and so relevant. Even the storylines were eerily similar to current events as we were watching it. It was kind of strange.
Yeah, but they were, because they got that, because DC knew that. And the research they did with the people they knew in DC were like, this is what we see. And then amazing. Homeland wrote about it. So Homeland was writing about the cutting edge of information, and they were putting it in a fictional way that maybe the story was not really the same, but the conflict, the
you
content,
get it a little bit more of what's happening.
Yeah. And so I thought, I think Homeland, in terms of protecting the people, I thought it was a very important, groundbreaking show.
Definitely.
And yeah, I really feel like, we have a purpose. There is a purpose to what we are all doing. And, the fact that your grandfather, and you watched it with your grandfather, is like heartbreaking to me and so touching. But the fact that it's one of the voices of our lives today is super important,
Absolutely. And I think you'd agree, this is probably one of the best shows of all time. No doubt one of the best shows by Showtime. And you've also worked on one of HBO's best shows in recent years, Insecure, and I've noticed that you don't see that very often. It's kind of like the Greasers and the Socias. Each company seems to stick to their own pool of actors for the most part. Like Damian Lewis is a good example. Like, he's Mr. Showtime right now, going from Homeland to Billions.
Yeah, he's so good. I
could see you fitting into that cast right away too. You need intensity and intelligence, two things you do extremely well.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that. Yeah. I love those guys, and I'd love to do that. I'd love to do Succession. I was just watching some of their work.
So good.
Oh my God. Oh, that is such a good show. The acting is so amazing.
Yeah.
It's just that kind of acting where everything is being said, but nothing is being said.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
So much is happening and nothing is happening.
It takes good acting and good directing.
You have to read between the lines.
Yeah.
Every single episode.
You feel it, and so much is happening.
It's implied.
Yeah, it's totally implied, and you're just like, oh, wow. Yeah, I think those shows are exceptional, really, really exciting shows. And I loved Insecure. I have a very very special place in my heart for that show and for Issa Rae. She's so smart, and she's so oh my gosh, she's so good, and she's so political without knocking you over the head. She's just living the politics. Her characters are just living the realm of the politics in which society resides.
Very well done.
Very well done. Yeah. And sometimes I would read that and I'd be like, okay, wow, this is really, wow, we're going there. And she would go to places that I was like, I am stunned. And it would just work. Those scripts would just work. So
does in such a good way.
It's such a good way. And I thought, I think, Issa is from LA, and I think she's pretty much born and raised there. And I think that there's a lot of the best that is LA in her understanding of how society must move forward. And I think that sometimes kids that come from urban environments, it's just my pet thing, but that they really see what's happening, and they know they don't necessarily, unless you're going to go to DC or you're going to become the person that changes what's happening, but they know they can tell the story of what's happening.
Yeah.
And, and I think that is really, she's an incredibly enlightened creator. She made this film about this woman escaping from sort of a not good situation in Yellowstone Park. And I think it could only have been made by someone who literally on some level understood how to film and photograph the great outdoors, understood how to bring the outdoors or how to bring nature as a character. I looked at it and I was like, I would never have known. I can feel what you've given me, but I'm a native New Yorker. I would never have known how walking through that group of trees would be that meaningful on camera. And so I feel like, so I feel like, I don't know if she got that from growing up in Missouri, but she said she came from a very rural area. And, I don't know, but I think we need all voices,
I agree.
and
you need all that kind of filmmaking skills. It's two very different skills, to create a world and then to film the world around you. Like, that's very different than, say, Stranger Things. That's a very beautifully layered show, but like not at all where you're just filming nature and what's in front of you. You're actually creating the world that's there.
Yeah, that's total imagination. That is the Duffer Brothers are just, that is complete and utter exotic, adventurous. Justice will be served imagination.
Well, while we're bringing it up, I heard you did the audition for Stranger Things with your face painted. Is this true?
Yes, I did. I did. I was, I was doing a lot of self-tapes at the time, and I was really not booking anything, and I was really angry about it. And I had not watched Stranger Things because I came in second season 2, but I didn't know about the show. I hadn't watched it. And I get this audition, and this very young, talented filmmaker came and taped my audition. And, I said, it's for this show, Stranger Things. I don't know what it is. and he's like, wow, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, so you'll be over in an hour. I'm going to go drop my son off at the Halloween party at school, and then I'll meet you back here. And he's like, oh, okay. So I go to my son's Halloween party, and there's like a face painter. And I'm like, well, this episode is about Halloween, and I am sick of it. If you don't know what I look like by now, then I don't know what to tell you. So I had her just like do this cat makeup, because I own 6 cats. I have a little problem with cats. Like, I have too many. At that time I had too many cats.
Me too.
And and so I walk in the door, and this young filmmaker is like, you painted your face? And I'm like, yeah. And this is the way we're doing it.
Yes.
And I think, I don't know, I think maybe that's why I got the job, because they were like, okay, go for this woman who's like completely, she's so far down the track of like, I got to do my own thing that it's just obscene. So
that is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Awesome.
Yeah. But, I love, like, I'm such a supporting role on that, but I'm so grateful when I shoot with them, because they have so many toys. Like, they have a very big budget. The budget, per episode is, I think, I don't know, I'm no expert on budgeting, but I think it's pretty much bigger than a lot of other shows.
Yeah. You can tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah,
you
right?
can tell.
Yeah, because the cameras, they fly. There's like cameras flying. And yes. And I'm like, and they're like, okay, Kathy, the camera's going to come down. It's going to float through. It's going to drop onto these lines, and it's going to come over, and it's going to pick up this action. It's going to pick up that action. Then it's going to land on you, and then it's going to float up and go over there. And you're just like, oh, really?
That's what it's going to do?
It feels like that, though, because you watch it and you're like, how do they do this? In my head, these cameras are flying, and it's like they actually are doing this.
That's fun to know.
Because they have the money, because they have the technology for all this. But to make rigs that do that in a way that's so seamless that you notice not a bump, that you notice that nothing is off, that it doesn't call attention to itself, that it just goes into your sort of viewer heart and soul. Yes. It just goes that to do that, to have that level of camera equipment is very, very expensive toys.
Yeah.
And they have all those toys, and they love to use them, and they love to teach people. Like, I'm very humbled. I was on set like this past year, and I'm not sure which stuffer yelled this out to me, but he goes, "We believe in you, Kathy." And I was just like, oh my God. You know,
you're the greatest.
Yeah. As this camera is like flying by me, and I'm like, I don't want to look in the camera. You know, I don't want to get caught looking in the camera. And I'm like, I can do this. You're like, feel the camera. And I'm like, I'm going to feel the camera. I'm going to feel the camera.
Just feeling it.
Don't look at it. Don't look at it. Don't look at it.
Don't look at it. Don't look at it. Don't look at the camera. You know, and I feel like I kind of learned a little bit how to do that. So I was so grateful, you know, like they have no problem with the fact that they are going to do this a few times because you've never done this kind of camera work before.
Well, that's working with innovation. That's awesome.
How fun.
And this show should be returning soon too. Are you going to be in season 4?
I think we're on season 4, right? Yeah, that was, you know, they had to stop because of COVID.
Yes, we've been waiting like 3 years, I feel.
Yeah.
These kids aren't kids anymore.
Yeah, they're all grown up.
But I can tell you, I can tell you that the episodes, the storyline, you don't need them to be kids. Now you need them to be, what they did, which was so smart, was they made the agency of an older teen necessary for the story, right? So you need these kids to be a little older for the story to go where it's got to go.
Okay.
And
wow, that's good.
and you need the story. Like this, the story is they've gone up. Like they've ratcheted this one up so high. It's fantastic.
Nice.
And and I think it took quite a bit of time to shoot because this season, I subsequently, of course, watched them all and I love them. Yeah. But I think this season could be one of the most exciting of all of the seasons. I think
I'm like so excited right now.
Yeah, me too. I'm so excited to see it, and I've read them. Believe me, I mean, it's like this is like I think this could be as great as TV, where we can go in this medium right now. I think they've hit that. I think they've hit it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well,
So
now big expectations are set. This is
It always delivers though.
That's a mega soundbite you just delivered there.
Well, I mean, I delivered it because like I read the scripts and I think they delivered it. You know, like I was like, wow. And the amount, like they did take the time to make these scripts as exceptional as, I think they really went the distance in terms of the shooting.
Well, maybe it all just worked out the way it needed to with the break that they got, so that they got extra time to work on it. It's great. Maybe the kids are growing up, the show is growing up. It's hard to film around puberty anyway. They don't all cross over at the same time. Some are some are dealing with their own Stranger Things, and some aren't.
Yeah. But I think it was really smart. They stayed in the town. Right. Like, I think like,
oh, good.
Like the place that they're in. Well, I mean, I think I'm not giving anything away. I mean, I think that's, the show is about on some level this place. And so it's not just about any one person or any one person's age. It's about the thrust of what's going down in this place, with good and bad. It's really a battle between good and evil.
Of course it is.
Really, right? And I think that's back to the Sackler family. That is the basic battle that we fight in the world every day. That is the battle that humanity hopes it wins, and that evolution hopes that we win.
Right.
It's the battle for the planet. It's, is to call attention to the sense that we're all so much more alike and we're all so much more one than we are separate. I think that, like, when you sing a note, if you lift the lid of a piano and you sing a note into the piano, it's going to sing the same note back to you. And when I was young, I did theater, and part of my addiction to theater was when someone laughed and then it was a full house laugh, or the entire audience was silent in a moment. That speaks to the fact that we all resonate in a similar way. And artists, our job is to fight the good fight, be a part of the mission of fighting the good fight, to bring the word to all, to bring all people together,
Absolutely.
I think.
No, I agree. And that's why the good and evil always works as a story, no matter kind of how you're telling it, whether it's in the form of the, Sacklers, more realistic style, or the Demogorgons and what they're called. Demogorgon. Did I get that right? Demogorgon?
Yep.
It's been a couple seasons. Well, we won't ask you for things that you can't answer about Stranger Things and all these teasers and stuff that we want, but we know you can't give us. But you could tell us.
But I can tell you, it's great. I can tell you.
You can tell us if Hopper is dead or not, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. No, I can't. I can't do that. I can't do that. No, I can't do that. But I can tell you. I can tell you, you are going to be on the edge of your seat.
Of course.
And I can tell you, you might need to leave extra time when you start watching it, in case you need to binge.
That tactic,
that
tactic drives me nuts in how effective it is. That type of cliffhanger. I mean,
my gosh.
They did it with Jon Snow in Game of Thrones. I mean, it goes back to Who Shot JR. Like it's a proven formula. And
I have a problem in that way. Do you have a problem in that way? Because I literally will start watching a show at like 8:00 at night, and 8 a.m. the next morning, I'm still watching.
Definitely done that. Yeah.
We've done that once or twice.
Yeah, like you can only do it on a Friday night, when you don't have to necessarily be anywhere the next day, and then you can have Sunday to recover.
Yeah,
but,
it's a problem, and we love it. We get hooked.
Thank you.
I wish that was my problem. I got the opposite problem. I watch the same shit that I've seen 100 times over and over and over again until 8 a.m. And I'm like, why haven't I not gone to sleep yet?
Because it's satisfying, and because these people are your friends, and because they think the way you think, and because we need our friends, and because that's our job.
You just
be friends.
Me.
Twitter really gets me. I'll tell you.
Oh my gosh. So how did you guys come to do this a fabulous show that you're doing? Like how did you all come to be doing this?
Well, thank you for asking. Yes.
Nobody's asked us.
You're the first one that's ever asked.
The first one that's ever asked you. Well, the three of us are technically family, but we behave more like friends. Yep. And we...
Oh, that's nice.
And we already had a habit of getting together every Friday night for a couple drinks and for a couple laughs and...
talk about our favorite things.
Yeah, and
wow.
I think we just saw it as kind of an opportunity. We were already almost doing it anyway, just kind of needed to record it and refine our skills a little bit.
Put some reins around that thing, and here we are.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a couple years.
Just so much fun.
It's been a great opportunity.
Yeah, I'm really glad, because what you're doing is you're extending your it's very generous, because you're extending your family and friendship within your family to others. You're including other people in your family.
Yeah.
I've made fun of my little sister my whole life, but being able to do it on the air so that everyone can enjoy it.
Oh my gosh. I'm the youngest in my family, so believe me, I know all about that.
You get that.
I'm an only child. I love to see this dynamic over here make fun of each other. I'm like, oh, I want to play.
But we love film and TV. We play
love
games and trivia, and it's just now we get to...
We're comedians at heart, and we're all movie and TV film buffs.
I love it. That's me. Yeah, that's me. I'm down. I'm there. I'm with you. Yeah.
How did you get started in this world?
Oh my God. I got started because I was in high school, and my father was dying of terminal cancer, and my mother did not want me at the hospital every afternoon. And I heard about this professional children's theater company, and she was like, "Yeah, we're going." And so, I was like, "Okay." So I wandered in, and and these kids were tap dancing and singing, and they were throwing batons. I mean, it was so beyond. I was just like, Okay. And she just dropped me off, and I literally could do nothing. They gave me a puppet, and I would sit on the side of the stage, and the puppet would dance along with the show. Like I would just be a puppet on a hand dancing along for years. And I was just like, okay, I just come here every afternoon and I'm the puppet. But I mean, it was so, that's when I first understood, though, that there are families outside of your family.
Yeah.
And that you can have families that have to do with the reaching out of all of us as into different communities. And I was just in a theater community that I became very close with the other kids. And as my father was passing on, they became my family, because my mother was at the hospital. And so I guess that's when I really got hooked, because it wasn't so much about the art for me as about the fact that
community.
It was community. Yeah, that's right.
Probably therapeutic for you.
That's what draw me in too.
Yeah. And creating, like it was because creating anything is awesome, right? Like creating food in the kitchen. It's awesome. Anything, making a garden, anything. And, creating a really comfortable place to sit in your house. Like any form of creativity is amazing.
Rewarding.
And it's rewarding, and it's so awesome. And when you do that with a group of people, then you're like, oh, this is wonderful. Yeah. Like I want to be, and so that was how I started. And then I just, went to school, and I came back to New York City, and I just did downtown theater for a very long time. And, I was called the downtown secret weapon by by Time Out magazine.
Nickname.
That was a great.
It was good.
Never that good.
I know it was good for me, because I was always like, you need the color purple in your show. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be purple. I'm going to be fuchsia. I will bring my orange. I've got really good Doc Marten boots. I can kick anything. I'm there. I mean, I was young. I was political. I wanted to do theater downtown. I lived in a really cheap little walk-up apartment. I could make that, like, in a couple of nights, waiting tables. I was like, I am so part of the mission of art and theater.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
Well, who were some of your influences, either, screen or stage early on?
I like you guys. I was addicted to watching everything, and I loved watching old movies. So I used to watch all of the Turner classics, like all of them. And, Colette Colbert, or, any of the great artists, the classics,
Yes.
And then, and then I grew up in New York, and my family loved going to the theater. So I started going to the theater as soon as I could really sit still. And so I did see a lot of plays. And I think that all of those plays, sat with me, became a part of me, spoke to me. And that's where I felt like I have to go find this. And eventually, I think I was grateful to have spent the time in the theater that I did. But eventually, the camera for me is an obstacle that I will never be able to fully master.
You're so good on camera.
You're so sweet to say that, but I feel like it's such an advanced, interesting form, and I don't really like to do things I already know how to do. I like to do things I don't know how to do.
Wow.
And so,
Challenge.
right? Because and I feel like every day I go work on camera, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what that day is. And in the theater, the longest I ever did a play was a year, a play called Love Janis. That was an amazing play about Janis Joplin, who, she's one of my idols.
Yes.
And she's one of my huge, idols of the heart. And that was you know, when you do something for a year, it becomes a part of you in a way that it changes you. And you have to remind yourself every night that the audience that's there, it's the first time they're seeing it. And it becomes a part of the service of your mission of creating community, and community through the oldest form of storytelling, the oral storytelling, the joining together of people in a room to experience something. You know, it's not so dissimilar to sitting around the campfire, really. That's theater.
Yeah.
And, you know, and so, but then I just realized that I want to do something different every day. Like, I love theater, but I want to do, like, in film and TV, that's the only time you're ever going to shoot that. That's the only time you're ever going to tell that piece of that story. This is the only time. And there's something very, very humbling about that. You can never go back. It's done.
Yeah, never thought of it in that way before.
Yeah, it's profoundly, like, finite.
You get one take to get it right. Hopefully you
make
it.
Or you get those handful of takes. Because, like, in a Broadway show, like, you have next week to improve your performance. Or, you know, I just didn't have it. I'm going to really bring it tonight. But yeah, when you're shooting a scene, like, for that day or for those 2 days, when it's over and you move on to the next part of the story, like, yeah, you can't go back.
Done.
Hopefully you did it right.
Yeah, they have what they have to work with.
Yeah, and it's very humbling, and it's where I needed to go in terms of my own personal discipline. You know, my own personal discipline, I needed to really, you know, kick the pants off of my own discipline and go, come on, step it up here. I'm grateful for the challenge, you know.
Yeah. Well, any advice for aspiring screen performers and indie filmmakers? I know you like to support these guys, and we do too.
Oh man, I think that, you know, you have to go for it. I think you have to really find what it is that speaks to you. Like this young filmmaker I spoke to today, you know, she said she likes to make films about resilience, the resilience of women. She said, in my family from this small town, the reason why my family has been okay for so many generations was the resilience of these women. And I feel like you need to find what your calling is. You know, you need to find why you're telling your stories. You know, whether you're an actor or a writer or a director or DP or whatever. And, you know, I shot a short film in LA about a month ago, and it was the writer kept saying, you know, this is about these urban women from Texas. And she said, you know, if the end of the world, she said, you know, it was an apocalyptic dystopian end of the world thing. It was really fascinating. But she said, if the end of the world ever came, those that would survive are these rural women from Texas and from Appalachia and from, you know, West Virginia and from Missouri and from Kansas. And she said, these rural women are so able to make things go forward. They are so resilient.
Love that.
I love that, right?
Yes.
And so, yeah, so I think that is what you have to be as a young person. You have to be resilient and tenacious, and you have to know that you will fall potentially so many more times than you will succeed. But if you keep brushing off your knees and going right back at it, you will succeed. And you cannot be worried about the number of times that you strike out. That doesn't matter. You just have to focus on getting the next shot, making the next shot, and don't worry about, you know, what everybody thinks. It's about what you think. And don't worry about, you know, there's always going to be somebody richer. There's always going to be somebody poorer. There's always going to be somebody less successful. There's always going to be somebody more successful. There's always going to be somebody who has a nicer car, who has a less nice car, who has a bigger house, who has a less nice house. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is that you go on your journey and you follow the path. You come to community with your fellow travelers on your journey.
That is such good advice.
Yeah,
and
well said.
So well said.
Do you think so? I think
completely
that's
agree.
it, right?
Completely.
No,
agree.
yeah,
Everybody has their
absolutely
own
agree.
human experience, and we all have to respect everybody's journey.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well
yes, and respect everybody's beliefs and respect everybody's history and work together, to collectively bring goodness and share goodness and lift all of us up. That is the one thing I have noticed after COVID is that, people, like, I travel a lot for work, and I, used to be, you travel, you're literally going through the airport, and you're like, oh, excuse me, sorry, I bumped into you. Now you bump into somebody and they're like, oh, hey, are you okay? No, I'm good. Can I help? Do you know where you're going? Oh, you're going to that gate down there? Hey,
That's good. We needed more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, people are really, like, everybody is like, wait, you okay? Like, and you say something to somebody like, oh, I love that shirt. And they're like, oh, I got it. It was $9.99. You can get it over at such and such. You can go today. And it's like, oh, thank you. Like, people are going out of their way, I feel like, now to reach to each other.
Well, when you get quarantined for over a year, people miss people, and
Need
like
community.
you're appreciative to be talking to people again and see people in
Yeah.
person. and not
Always
just
love
over
You
the
have
phone.
struggles like me. We can be friends.
Yes.
Well, just like some kindness goes such a long way, especially now. So, keep
True.
it going. Make someone smile.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, and just make a random person smile.
Well, right.
Love
That's the
that.
best.
Yeah, and then they're going to make a random person smile, and then
Yes.
everybody's
It
going to think that
continues.
it continues, and then everybody's not going to really care about, their bank balance. They're going to care about the fact that, like, oh, I had a really good day. Some people were smiling at me, and that guy made me laugh, and things are good.
Yeah.
It gives people armor because, it was hard. Like, COVID was hard.
Yeah, not fun.
Not
Not
fun.
fun. Well, here is your one hardball question. Everyone gets one, and we try not to get too personal in our questions, but I think our listeners would like to know your take on the best pizza in Manhattan. Now that we know you're from New York,
Oh, okay. So, that is so okay. I can't believe you just asked that question.
everyone has an opinion on
my
this, and I know
gosh.
that you're from New York, so
It had to be done.
Yeah.
You have an opinion. Let's hear it.
You got to ask a New Yorker about pizza.
I think it's Joe's. It's Joe's.
Really?
It's not.
It's not. It's. I could have said. I know people say it's John's, and I agree. John's pizza is amazing, but Joe's pizza. Joe's has the old ovens. Joe's. It's all about the oven,
Yeah,
right?
all about
Yeah.
that.
It's about.
And the sauce.
It's about
And the water.
and the sauce and the water. Yeah, but it's all about how hot they can get that oven. And those old Joe's has the old ovens that go like so hot, and so that the pizza is just like crispy on the bottom, and then but it's still moist. The crust still has it's not like cardboard, and the sauce is not too sweet. And they use a really high-end mozzarella,
Ooh.
and like it's so good.
So
Like
hungry for this right now.
Yes.
it's so good. And Joe's Pizza is on the there's a food tour in New York. I've never taken it because, like, I'm already fat enough, but really, but yeah, but the Joe's Pizza is on that. And I'm telling you, there's 2 stores in Joe's Pizza. There's one it's on Broadway in the 40s, and then there's another one off of 6th Avenue and it's Bleecker. Yeah, 6th Avenue and Bleecker. It's near there. Those are the 2 best. That's, I think, the best pizza for me. But then again, if you were to ask somebody, from Brooklyn, I'm from Manhattan, they completely disagree with me. and then, and then if you were to ask somebody from Queens, and I actually got into this on the set of Stranger Things. I was sitting there waiting for some lighting
Got
thing.
heated over a pizza argument.
Yeah, like the DPs chimed in, a couple of the camera guys chimed in, some of the actors chimed in, and it is. I mean, you could go to war with people over what and they're like, no, the best pizza is in the Bronx. It's at this place in the Bronx.
Funny.
The best pizza is on 113th Street. The best pizza, and then the best pizza is in South Jersey. I was like, the best pizza is in South Jersey.
Everyone knows that's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
To fight extra hard for that one.
The best pizza boat is in South Jersey.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I was just like stunned. But I feel like you can get really good pizza now a lot of places. So I where the best cheeseburger I've ever had, ever had.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, is in Atlanta. Atlanta has, oh my gosh.
Atlanta has some food.
I would say I believe that. We're from Texas.
Yes. So
Southern style sloppy burger.
Yeah, what's the best barbecue in Texas? Like, is there like where
Austin, Texas, Salt Lick, one of my top favorites.
Yeah, that's probably that's a strong answer.
Yeah, I mean that's my immediate what my heart wants to say, but it is tough because sometimes you're like random corner, you're like barbecue that you didn't even know about has some of like the best food you've ever had. So it just depends on the sauce, and I mean Texas has a lot of great barbecue.
I'm gonna go Arby's on this one.
Yeah, right.
The best barbecue in Texas.
Okay, Phoenix native.
Disrespectful.
Well, Phoenix has some good food too, right?
Yeah, the best Mexican food in the country.
Okay,
in the military.
No.
That's a bold statement.
That's a bold statement.
That's
wow.
a false statement.
No, it's not.
Right
that's
now.
the easiest statement I can make tonight.
No.
See, y'all get hated over pizza.
Yeah.
This is what we get hated over.
Yeah, wow. It's good though. This is really good.
I traveled the world in the military looking for better Mexican food. Really, anything that would just fill the void of the Mexican food I was missing back home in Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona's got the best.
Dallas.
I was gonna say, do a food tour around Texas.
I did.
Fine.
I did.
That is true. You have been around, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll fight you on that.
Texas. Yeah, I don't know about Arizona. I would love to know about the Mexican food in Arizona. I'm going to put that on my bucket list. But I have eaten some of the barbecue in Texas, and I do know that the food in Texas is pretty stellar. I'm very aware of that. Because I think Texans like to eat.
Texans like to eat.
We're passionate about our food. We don't mess around.
Yeah. I had some of the best organic beef jerky I've ever eaten in my life in Texas. Yeah,
organic beef jerky.
Beef jerky. It was
has
so
to come
good
from an organic cow.
Yeah, he was raising organic beef in Texas, and he was making jerky, and I've never tasted. I can still taste it. I think in Texas, they really do know how to raise cattle. And I think this person really understood how to raise cattle, but then went the extra mile of the organic, and like there was no corn in the cattle's diet. And this was like all, pasture. I don't even know, but those organic, but it was like, I tried this beef jerky and I was like, I was just like, wow.
Food will do that too in Texas.
It's a Texas beef.
Yeah.
And you're right. They treat those cows very well. Like they get massaged daily, the organic ones. They don't get fed corn.
3 hits of ecstasy every day.
But I shot a little film in Lubbock
I went to Texas Tech. That's hilarious.
Oh really?
Yes.
I loved Lubbock. Oh my gosh, we shot on this ranch, and they didn't have to be there. Like they had this ranch, with the film had rented this ranch, and the people that ran the ranch, they were not required to be there. And they all came and they were in the film. They just like,
really?
And it was so beautiful. And they stayed, we did an all night shoot. Like you stay up all night. They stayed up all night. Wow. One of the people was a pastor, a local pastor. And he gave like a little sermon when the lights were down. Like, I was just like, okay, I'm happy. And they cooked for us. I mean, it was so, and talked about horses and raising cattle. And I was just like, who are you all? And then
hospitality.
Yeah, that's what it was. They were like, you're in Texas. This is Texas hospitality. And I was like, this is normal. I was like, this is not normal. It's not normal. I mean, New Yorkers are great. If you got a problem, we got your back. But on another level, the really the most impolite people. But I mean, but it's great if you need, like, if you got your back and you fell down or you got lost, good person. New Yorker is always going to be there. But
yeah, that's true.
But, yeah,
loyal
but
people.
Well, and I feel like day-to-day stuff, New Yorkers get agitated with one another, but when big stuff happens, New Yorkers are there for one another.
Yeah, I think that's true. But I was so, like, when I was in Lubbock, I was just like, wow, this is okay. I don't even know you, and you smiled at me, and now we're talking. It was so good.
I know.
Community is different.
I brought those Texas manners out here, and people look at me like I'm crazy.
I know. I say hi, hello, everyone. They're just like, no.
And because I lost any accent that I had, people ask if I'm from Canada.
It's totally confusing. That's totally, you got to be from another country.
Yeah.
Texan or Canadian.
You're either on drugs or you're from Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Well, any new fun and exciting projects coming up that we can hear about?
I don't know. I mean, I'm on a new Netflix show, but I can't tell you about it. And but it's a really interesting. Yeah, it's a really interesting show. And what's really interesting to me about it is, a lot of the office buildings, because of COVID, are empty in New York. Like, people have not gone back to work, and Netflix rented, the show rented 2 stories of an office tower. And that's where we're shooting.
Wow.
And it works for the show. But I'm also like, this makes so much sense. You never could have gotten 2 stories of one of these big, 7th Avenue office towers. It would have been astronomical before for a TV show. And now people are like, this is a good place to shoot, so.
Take the whole building.
Take the whole building. Yeah. And people wander in and out, and hair and makeup and wardrobe, and nobody bats an eye. It's so fun. It's like, okay. Yeah. It's like New York is accepting the fact that we need to improvise here to fill these buildings. And so that's really cool. I really like that.
Can't wait to see it.
Yes.
I
wish we could know more.
Expect, or ETA on
gosh, I don't even know. Like, they had to stop shooting a little because of COVID this past month. So I don't even know, but they'll get it. It's all happening, and everybody's back to shooting. So it's good.
That's great.
And I'm going to shoot a lead in an indie feature, I think in February, called The Walkers, which I'm very excited about. It's about this whole family that they're incredibly loving and nice to each other during the day. And then at night, collectively, this entire family sleepwalks, and they throw things at each other.
Oh my God. Why I need
Is it a comedy?
I hope so.
Either way, I'm so intrigued right now.
I know. I was like, I have to be in this. I just have to be in it. All that rage and resentment when somebody didn't put the cap on the toothpaste.
Yeah.
It comes out like when you
amazing.
sleepwalk.
That's really funny. What a concept. Wow.
Oh, right? So I'm really excited to do that film. So anyway.
Oh, that's great. Well, you have been a delight to talk to, Mrs. Catherine.
Thank you so much.
We cannot
Thank
wait.
you so much.
Yes, we cannot wait to see some of these projects. Thank you again for coming on, and we really hope we get a chance to talk again sometime.
Definitely, and have a beautiful time in Tucson and Phoenix. And then if you ever come to New York, please text me, and we'll go to Joe's Pizza.
Yeah.
And,
please.
yes, and please, and then we can. And if I come to Arizona, I'm totally going to let you know I'm there, and I want to go to some of that Mexican food.
Got 15 places to show you. Please call.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
All
that's so
right.
wonderful. We'll be there next week. I can't wait to see your couch. Looking forward to
Can
it.
we stay over? There's 7 of us.
Definitely in my little tiny New York City apartment.
Yeah. Cool. We're all family now. We'll make space.
Yeah, exactly. Like nobody cares,
Oh,
right?
well, thank you again so much, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving on Friday with your family.
Oh, thank you, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You
all
too.
on Thursday,
Thank
and
you.
take care and
much.
be well.
Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye. Bye.
That was awesome.
How
She was
fun is
great.
she?
So cool.
Wow, she was really awesome, and that is a real actor. Like, holy shit.
She said some fun stuff. I like the way that she picks her projects. Like,
That was interesting. She had some good behind the scenes stories.
Yeah.
yeah.
And seriously, if it wasn't for how warm and sweet you see her playing Claudia Henderson in Stranger Things, you would think she is so intimidating and like cerebral how she is
Yeah.
on screen. And
She
is-
plays dramatic so
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
She is so warm and fun and sweet. That's
Oh
awesome.
my gosh,
She's
yes.
great. And pumped about Stranger Things too. How about
Oh
that?
Yeah.
my God, that it's
I'm
like
stoked
Yeah.
for the next season.
I didn't know how they were gonna take it, and I was kind of nervous if it's like gonna be able to keep up with how good it's been. And now it's like new level,
Yeah.
ready for it.
PG-13 now.
I'm even more excited, and she dropped some sweet sound bites for us to
Mhm.
pump
Oh.
up some Stranger Things.
I'm going to feed her
Ready.
some Pollo Funditos when she comes over next time.
I also need to get this indie film in about the sleepwalking.
Yeah.
Yes, that's awesome.
Need that.
Couch cushions.
I could have
Couch
talked. I could have talked to her for easily another hour.
Yeah,
we
she
didn't
was
even get
so
into
easy to
Orange is the
talk
New
to.
Black. We didn't get into
Oh,
bad,
yeah.
bad
She was
education.
amazing.
Wolf of Wall Street. She played an FBI agent. Quick scene, but I wanted to at least bring it up. I mean, a Scorsese set. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, what's that like?
Was the water different? Like, I still just had so many questions. She was so cool, and I was down for how she wanted to like. Let's talk about now and what's happening, and
Yes,
that's cool.
Love that.
All for that. Well, it's time for the new Dream Car giveaway over at 8080. In addition to the 15% off you get for using code CRUNCHY, they're offering 5 times the entries right now. And that Dream Car giveaway number 51 is for a 650 horsepower Huracan plus $60,000 in cash. You do not want to miss out. Nor do you want to forget to check out SomethingCrunchy.com, where you'll find every episode, our links for social media, and the Almighty Crunch Store, where you'll find all kinds of crunchy gear showing that you are a proud citizen of Crunch Nation. Then there's the Something Crunchy Facebook group, the growing fungus of the internet, turning those bad feelings into good feelings. Come get weird with us. Enjoy the web's finest memes and shitposting. This has been another episode of Something Crunchy. And as always, don't ever forget to live your crunchiest life.
And be crunchy to one another.
Please don't forget to subscribe, like, follow, and all that crunchy good shit. Thank you for listening.
That's a mega soundbite you
yeah.
just delivered there.
Too much.
Reel it in. 30% off the top.
I thought he nailed that.
You totally nailed that line.
Yeah. He's like, wait,
You nailed it for me, brother.
certainly got
I'm excited.
Tyler pumped.
Yeah.
If ever Blake
Hey,
takes
spelling.
off and like leaves us behind for his stardom, then we can at least do like beef in the Druzzles for sure.
Not leaving y'all for starting. I want to be a part of Beef in the Dressel.
I want to be the beef.
I want to be the beef.